listeners. Welcome to another episode on the Global Mic.
Okay, so today we're going to really dive deep, into a pretty major potential policy shift. Coming straight from the top, President Trump's proposed executive order.
Yeah.
And we've got this BBC article here that kind of lays it all out. And
Right.
it's a lot to unpack, I think.
Yeah, it's big.
This could have massive effects on workplaces across the U.S.
Absolutely.
And it feels like it goes way beyond, just politics.
It really does. I think this gets to the core of how we define gender in society and, the role of diversity in all of our, institutions and companies. And
Right.
this proposed policy is to recognize only male and female genders at the federal level.
Yeah.
And so that could send shockwaves, far beyond government offices.
Yeah, especially with that quote, two genders only from Trump's inauguration speech.
Right.
Still echoing in everyone's ears.
Yeah.
It feels very deliberate, almost like a mission statement for this administration.
Definitely.
But what really stood out to me is how this policy is really kind of taking aim at DEI programs. Diversity, equity, inclusion. This executive order wants to completely defund them within the federal government.
Right.
And that's huge.
It is, yeah. And to understand the full weight of that, we really have to break down what these DEI programs even do.
Yeah.
They go, way beyond simply ticking boxes for representation. They're really designed to address these historical and systemic disadvantages that different groups face. And they're aiming to create more equitable workplaces.
Right. So it's not just about having a certain number of women or minorities in an office.
Right, exactly.
It's about actively working to dismantle the barriers that they might face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And that's where this executive order gets really interesting because it also calls for a review of offices that have been renamed due to DEI initiatives.
Oh.
So we're potentially talking about reversing symbolic changes, not just budget cuts.
Yeah.
It's a pretty strong statement.
And it's creating a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Especially for businesses.
Yeah.
The article doesn't explicitly say if this policy will extend to the private sector.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of in this wait and see mode.
Right.
Which is probably causing a lot of anxiety.
Fair.
What I find fascinating, though, is that some companies aren't even waiting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Like McDonald's, Walmart, Meta.
Right.
They've all scaled back their DEI program since Trump's election.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, you have companies like Apple, Target, Costco.
Right.
They're publicly doubling down on their commitment to these initiatives.
Yeah.
So it really highlights the complexity of this issue.
It does. That's what I keep coming back to.
Yeah.
Why are some companies retreating and others are digging in their heels?
Yeah.
What are they thinking? Is it potential profits, brand image?
Right.
Maybe even genuine belief in the mission of DEI?
Well, it's probably a mix of all those things.
Yeah.
Some companies might be seeing DEI as a financial risk in this current political climate.
Yeah.
While other companies view it as a core value that, attracts talent and resonates with their customers.
It really makes you wonder what factors a CEO would have to weigh in this
Yeah.
kind of situation.
Yeah.
What would you do
Oh, man.
if you were in their shoes?
Yeah.
A pretty heavy decision with potential repercussions, either way.
Huge. Yeah.
But let's back up for a second.
Okay.
Before we judge any of these decisions. Maybe we need to get back to the core of this.
Yeah.
Why do these DEI programs even exist in the first place?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with them or not, understanding that why is essential. And these programs really stem from this recognition that certain groups have been historically disadvantaged.
Right.
Whether it's because of race or gender, sexual orientation, disability, any number of factors.
Right.
DEI is really aiming to level the playing field.
Yeah.
Ensure everyone has a fair shot.
And the article brings up something else I think is worth considering. The murder of George Floyd in 2020.
Yeah.
And the surge in the focus on racial justice that followed.
Right.
Do you think that event might have influenced the trajectory of DEI
Oh, for sure.
and consequently this potential backlash against it?
Yeah, I mean, that event sparked a national conversation about systemic racism and inequality.
For sure.
And it really pushed DEI into the spotlight.
Yeah.
So it might have accelerated its adoption in some places,
Right,
while provoking stronger opposition in others.
wow, we started with just a headline about an executive order.
I know, right?
But this conversation has really opened my eyes to how much deeper this issue goes.
It really does. And it leaves us with, this big question, can the government or should it dictate how concepts like gender and diversity are addressed even in private businesses?
Yeah.
That's a debate with huge implications for all of us.
Absolutely. This story is far from over.
Right.
And what happens next could really reshape our workplaces and our communities in really profound ways.
Absolutely.
So keep watching this space,
Yeah.
Who knows what twists and turns are coming next?
Who knows?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for
Yeah.
thanks for joining me on this deep dive today.
This was great.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen.
We'll talk to you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.